of the JDL.
He ain't playing. Now,
So
now you
that's
think
why
that
Kyrie Irving did what he did.
Okay.
He ain't the only one. You gotta remember, my man told him come down to Texas. He got some land. He could use it for free. Told Kanye that. What's my man name? Young Thug.
Thug, right? Yeah, Thug. Yeah.
Right. Then you got somebody put on a building in Florida. Say Ye is right.
Somebody put it on the building.
It was on the building, dog. You know the ticker at the top of the building? It was on the ticker at the top of the building, and it was saying Ye is right.
Wow. Wow. Who would have ever thought? I mean, I don't know. I do kind of identify with now. I don't identify with him, but I see some of the I understand Ye. I'll put it like that. I understand his thought process. Just for being like a black sheep, thinking differently. Not I wouldn't even call myself a black sheep, just thinking differently my whole life. So it's like I don't want to call him the Messiah, but he's really like leading the rush, almost in a sense.
And Ye, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, motherfucker.
Right. So does that piggyback on the whole Trump thing, the Trumpets, the final trumpets singing off, Trump Pence? You know what I'm saying? That was one little connection I had made a while back. Like Trump and Pence was like the final ringing to let us know that this was the end of their little reign. And then so you connected that to that, and then Ye being connected to Trump as tightly as he was, it's just like putting the pieces of the puzzle together for me. It's just crazy.
So for the women that want to do rituals, they should be calling back the sweet waters of Oshun. That's the love energy. In order for the love energy to come back, all that dirty dirt shit got to get cleaned up. The last major conjure to close is the Haitian conjure, and it's in the process.
Mm. We acquaint ourselves with. Okay, let's see. Let's see what she's talking about.
That's what we were saying earlier about sinking back to the earth, walking barefoot and grounding. Yeah.
Okay. Where's where they mention how Europe came to find Americas for the Ye. What are some of its original uses using the plant cocaine is from? Okay, for the Ye. Oh, yayo. Okay. What are some of its original uses using the plant cocaine is from?
They used to use it for pain reliever. They used to use it. They used to make tea out of the leaves. They never used to use the concentrate. Cocaine is a concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it had an effect like caffeine, except stronger.
That's a good question, Reynolds. Throw that in the question box for me so I can pin it. But he said, "Are the black nobility the dirty morals?" Actually, I just mentioned it.
100%.
100%. Okay. So, is it for me? It feels like it's really time. Like even with Doug telling Ye, like, I got 100 acres of land that you can use. So it is time for us to try that rebuild, almost like another Black Wall Street, or just are we getting back to nature with this one?
Listen, the Black Wall Street was everywhere. It wasn't just Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had communities that we set up after we left the Gullah Wars. When we was going back into the land, they had declared the land abandoned under the salvage rights so they can use squatters' rights to colonize. So when we was going back, we had everywhere we went, we generate the sweetest source of wealth on earth. Gold, if we wasn't on earth, gold wouldn't be here. Platinum wouldn't be here. As the side effects of very specific star seeds walking the earth. The side effect is the earth produces in its anatomy chemical signature identifying the strain of being on the earth.
Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because the earth is just a larger expression of us. So, I mean, we got all those chemicals and minerals in our body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a good one. Can he expound on the matriarchal call and the shift back into a matriarchal societal structure in the higher timeline?
So the call of the matriarch is spiritual. If you see now, there's the women is finding where they comfortable. They move in locations to going back to places they used to live in past lives where when the energy shifts, they automatically know where they need to be. And they start making arrangements to be in that location. They answering the call. All of the mothers is telepathically linked, but they don't know it yet.
Mm. But let me see. And when do you feel like they'll know it? What will it take? Is just an awakening? Is it a ritual, or is it
Yeah,
breaking spells?
it's a subtle becoming aware,
Okay.
right? The only reason I figured this stuff out is watching patterns. As I watch the patterns, I can't help but notice it. They took it on themselves to write these contracts and laws. That's why they use $5 Indians to sign the contracts, because we wasn't signing that shit. They brought them over here to specifically say they Indians and declare them chiefs by presidential order so they can sign a treaty. We ain't signing no treaties with them motherfuckers.
It's funny, like looking back on. I was just watching. If you haven't checked out, it's UB News TV. He does great work and research and talks about the lodges. And the other day he did he talks about the Boule, but the other day he did one on Noble Drew Ali and just kind of breaking down his beginnings, where he really came from, his pilgrimages to Mecca, and how they basically coined him, or not coined him, but donned him a prophet. And then he came back over here and essentially convinced all these people, these natives that were here in America, that they were from Morocco, or had them playing like they were from Morocco when they would get in trouble. So it's very informative, like just seeing the other side of what you've read in books, just going a little deeper. But yeah, Noble Drew, I've heard you speak on him, and from what I understand, you've always spoke highly of him. But is there other side? Was there a sinister side or reason behind him starting what he started here in America with the Moorish?
What he started is not what you see.
Okay.
It changed.
Okay.
He had set the Moorish Science Temple up in the beginning to be able to send them grand sheiks to get our people out of their system, because they understood the relationship with the contracts that had nothing to do with us. But one of the clerks went behind his back and signed contracts with the same motherfuckers we was trying to get away from. And the reason you know this is because on the back of your nationality card, it say clear as day, the holder of this card is a U.S. citizen. How you gonna be a free Moorish national and a U.S. citizen? It's not possible. It's a blatant contradiction in your face.
Right. That's real. Okay, so here's a piggyback on that topic. Hey, Shane says, so should we be correcting status, declaring ourselves indigenous as Aboriginal, or just wait?
At this point, you can just wait it out. If you know who the fuck you is, you can just wait it out. Disassociate from the system so that motherfucker could go and finish collapsing.
Right. So would you recommend something as simple as like deregistering yourself? Like just killing the contracts that you have out there, even though their contract ended, a lot of people
You abandon the contract for fraud.
Just abandon it.
You abandon the contract because if you know there's a fraud there and you still trying to meet the terms of the contract, you party to the fraud, which incriminates you in the court of law. If anybody ever called them on that fraud in the court of law, all of the people who willingly participated in the fraud, once they became aware that the fraud existed, is just as guilty as the ones that started the fraud.
Because if you still, yep. That's real. Good question, though. Yeah, I would say you need to tap in more, but we'll see what Rod got to say.
That's the sensory symptoms he's describing. I can't see the whole thing.
It says, is there a meaning behind my body being restless, or more so me not being asleep? It's been happening since a young age.
It could be nutritional deficiency, but if your spiritual self is vibrating too high, you won't be able to sleep. You use a cat nap,
So he's got to integrate that.
right? So he had to train himself. Like what I did when I was locked up, every night before they lock us down, I drink a big ass cup of water before I go to bed, right? Because the water hydrates the body and is soothing to the central nervous system, right? And then I lay down, and within no time I'm out. So then I begin to keep doing it till I train myself. When I ain't tired, when I need to get some sleep and I ain't tired, I can still go drink a big cup of water and go straight to sleep. I can do it now.
Mm,
That's how, instead of letting somebody else condition you, you learn how to condition yourself.
that's real. And I know for me, if you just like, well, he said he can't get no sleep, but I know when I wake up in the middle of the night at a certain time, I normally just sit down and I'll try to sit down and meditate. That normally means I'm supposed to be getting a message, especially if it's in like the heat of the middle of the night. And then I'll be peeing all night.
But that's why I did it. Another reason why I done it too, because I needed to train myself to hold my pee all night.
Mm. Oh, dang. I ain't seen this. Probably because I never registered to vote. She said, why did Mellon notice it stating years we voted or not?
Look, all of those is adhesion contracts. You fill that shit out, you making an agreement with them to participate.
And the Electoral College really decide that. It's basically tacit agreement to follow whatever laws or whatever happens during that current regime. Going along with the get along.
Dreaming about Papa Leg, but he bringing you a message. You need to figure out what it is.
Okay, there we go. Was Enlil and Inky here before us, or we came from them?
The Earthborn was already people here when the Anunnaki came, right? And when they came, they integrated with the people that was already here and formed a hybrid, an Anunnaki human hybrid. That's what we are in modern times, right? And they interacted with us on several different occasions. These is what they call in the theory of evolution the missing links. But it's really not the theory of evolution, right? It's really the intervention in the genome by the alien beings, and they manipulated the genome to cause us to forget, to shorten our lifespan, and
Right.
to make us controllable to do their work as Lululemon, as primitive workers.
Mm.
And then some of the ones that was in the Anunnaki royal house that wasn't working in the mines didn't agree with that shit.
And that's when they created them other people. Okay, bad. And I'm gonna post a question, bro. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, here you go. It kind of went over this earlier a little bit.
Yeah, Jacob is Yakub. The last name Jacob's just supposed to be Hebrew. Jacob is the Hebrew name.
Mm-hmm.
It means supplanter, underminer. When they gave us these names, when they came over here, they was tagging our bloodlines. Some of them wasn't our names.
Mm. Okay, I'll save that one. Because the Yakub story is fascinating. But
I
so
did a series on Young Elder Show showing y'all exactly what the Yakub story was
okay.
with references.
All right, I have to tap that in. You said with Young Elder?
Yeah, it's like a 3 or 4 part series.
Okay, but that's on his Instagram?
YouTube.
Okay, okay. If your family said they're Cherokee, how do you really find out that you're from the land? Or if, I don't know where that question just went. It just disappeared on its own. Or if they're of the invaders. I think she might have dipped out. So it took her question. So I'll just put that back. I had a dream about him. Oh, okay. She said she had a dream about you. Can you explain what you're telling her or what they're telling me to tell him or tell me? Like, what's the communication? She had a dream about you.
You don't translate dreams like that.
Mm.
That's enough information. I actually got to hear the dream circumstances, the surroundings. Then I got to know. A bunch of questions go with that.
Yeah, colors, all of that. The black Masons, maybe it don't matter, but I'll put it up there. The black
It depends. Okay, so all of the lodges has been infiltrated. So, you have to judge them by an individual that you know. You can't judge the whole lodge because you got good motherfuckers in the lodge and you got dirty motherfuckers in the lodge, and all of them been infiltrated and compromised.
Every single lodge, kind of like the NOI back then with Malcolm X. It's a lot of dream questions. You must not have did a dream live in a minute.
The Liberia project took a lot of us over to Africa, to Liberia, and many of us ended up in Ghana. Most of us don't know that.
So
a lot of us was under believing that slave narrative when the first Back to Africa movement was called the Liberia movement, right? It was a lot of us that went to Ghana as well. Not just Ghana, the whole Gold Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, and Western South Africa as well. That's part of your Pan-African studies. That's why Garvey was stressing it so much.
You're studying the Pan-Africanism.
Right, because
so the flip for the story.
The Africans going to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. We ain't from over there. We was already here. And we don't make that, as Garvey called it, that confraternity connection. Then we going to be stuck with the narrative the invaders gave us, with no way to disprove it, which is going to make us forfeit the right to our own shit. But when we go study the Pan-Africanism and the Africans is telling us don't believe that bullshit, they look like us, but they not us. The Africans say the same thing we say. The Arabs say the same thing we say. They look like us, but they ain't us. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Why is that saying in all of these places? Because all of these places was invaded by the Etruscans, who became known as the conquistadors, who became known as the blackamoors. So the challenges was the George Washington challenge in the Masonic Lodge was the challenge versus the fezzes versus the feathers, master versus master. Is it one of y'all chiefs can rise up and know what side of the water you from? Will you know that you didn't come over here with a fez on? You was already here with a head full of feathers. Well, I ain't come over here with no fez on. Before it was ever a fez here, I had my feathers. So when I know that the lodges is infiltrated, I got to raise myself. I can't go in their lodges if they infiltrated, because they're gonna immediately know who I am. And then I got 3 ruffians again. Jabbaline, and Jabbalo. Busting me upside my head and shit. I ain't finna be going through that. I'll fuck one of them niggas up.
So does that go into like discernment, or like your soul already knowing like who you belong to or what side you belong to, or is it true that people are easily manipulated into that doctrine, or just like thinking that they're Moorish, but they're really not?
Look, most people didn't start hearing about that shit till the 90s. That's around now. And most of the people that start hearing about it got it out of prison.
Mm.
And all of these grandiose claims to be in a superior jurisdiction to the government, all the time they having you becoming inferior to the government. They slave catching and don't even know it. The presumption of knowledge is worse than motherfucking no knowledge at all. Because you definitely going to be misleading the motherfucker. So the good Moors came in with feathers to accept the challenge. And we had to win affairs. We was getting our ass kicked. They was telling us that shit. We was believing the shit out that shit.
How was it so effective to where they made us forget where we came from so effectively? How did they do it so effectively to where even though the amnesia that comes with like our great grandparents and grandparents telling us who we are, and then we just wiping it off or wiping it away, saying
the appearance of being official. It's true because I got it wrote down here on this piece of paper I just wrote. Right? It's true. Because it's written right here on this piece of paper I just wrote. That's never been verification of truth for us. The truth resonated on the frequency of the heart. If it don't sync with the heart's energy, then it's automatically false. The greatest expression of love is to tell the truth regardless of the consequences.
That's where that saying comes. You can't manipulate a true man.
No.
Right? Even with seduction, like a woman can't even tempt a true man because he's based off of what is right and what feels right, and he already knows what's right and wrong. He's already made that determination a while ago.
Yeah.
So, like for me, when I came across the information more, like when I first started getting into learning the rights, the system and learning your rights, that was one of the first things that I came across was the Moorish doctrine and everything that came along with that. But it just never resonated with me for some reason. I had a few people around me like, oh yeah, I'm about to change my name to Bay this, L that. And I was just like, I don't know about that, bro. I
knew when I first seen Noble Drew Ali, I didn't remember him like that. I recognized the face. I did not remember the head wrap. I do remember seeing him with plumes of feathers. I don't never remember seeing him with a turban on in past lives.
So you think they hijacked it?
He was part of the war. He had to go into their system, into the Scottish Rite. He went and sat with more Zionist Jews in New Jersey to find out what they were doing. We didn't know what they were doing to us. So then when he said he put all of their secrets in the public domain, they made it where we can read, what Chiefs now can read this shit.
To find out exactly what's going on behind the curtain.
Yep.